Can the machine from the Ultrakill game V1 survive or beat even more analog horrors? Well, in this part 2 I will examine V1 and see if he would survive or win a confrontation against even more analog horrors. So, let's now revisit the capabilities of the machine, especially since the fraud layer update, and see what's the same and what has changed. From the start of the release of Ultrakill, each subsequent update has added more to the lore and expanded upon what the character you play as, which is V1, can do. So to start examining the robot, let's begin with attack power. V1 has several different guns, each with different use cases and abilities. V1's lesser guns, using their stock attack, can damage and destroy heavily armored machines. Stronger guns are far more capable and can damage larger areas and melt the health of bigger enemies. But what makes V1's arsenal special is his ability to chain together abilities and attacks from the guns by quickly swapping to create stronger attacks. These attacks can melt the health of large building-sized enemies and take out large amounts of normal enemies. This high damage has been calculated by fans to have destructive power capable of destroying cities on the low end, to even possibly being capable of destroying large land masses like islands or even continents. Now, for V1's highest damaging combo attacks, the devastation may be able to reach an extraterrestrial level of destruction, but that is essentially the highest amount of potential destructive ability V1 could have from what is currently shown. Another note about attack power is that if V1 has a literal bar of soap equipped, he can one-shot any enemy he throws it at. Now, this one-shotting is within the context of Ultrakill, so it may have limitations outside of it, but it's still V1's most devastating attack. Now, how much destruction could V1 potentially survive? Well, he is described as being fragile as his outer shell is made of thin metal plating. Gameplay shows that this so-called fragile exterior is far tougher than given credit. This is shown as V1 can handle extremely close proximity explosions, heavy gunfire, getting punched by a giant corpse, being attacked by an angel, and also being able to survive attacks from a robot with similar arsenal and destructive capabilities. Now, V1 can take maybe one or two devastating attacks in the harder difficulties, but after that he would have to heal. He does this via blood from his enemies, which is quickly and easily absorbed through the fragile thin metal plating. This allows V1 to be repeatedly damaged, as he can heal instantly with some blood as seen in game. Some more devastating attacks do limit healing capabilities, but V1 is usually moving around instead of getting hit. So how fast is the machine? Well, in the normal movement in-game, V1 can run about as fast as several in-game bullets of different types. This makes his normal running speed to be at a faster than hypersonic speed, as most real-life high-caliber bullets travel at hypersonic speeds, and the guns in-game more than likely shoot projectiles at faster speeds than real-life guns. V1 has other mobility options which can further increase his speed potential, like the jump and slide, along with a combination of other movement mechanics, which allow V1 to double or even triple his traveling speed. But the dash allows V1 to dodge light beams and holy light attacks, which are projectile attacks that are as fast as light. This also lets us know that V1 has a faster than light reaction, which allows him to fully process and comprehend attacks faster than him, and also dodge them preemptively if needed. Now for the machine's abilities. First, we got the several arms of the robot, the blue arm for parrying just about any attack, which then fully heals V1, the red arm, which punches much harder but a bit slower and can also create a concussive explosion for added damage, then the green arm, which gives V1 the grapple ability, which allows him to grapple to enemies or specific in-game objects. The game also has a ground smash mechanic for V1, and looking at the lore, V1 can run several combat simulations and is quite good at sensing incoming attacks, even if he doesn't directly see them. The robot has a few key resistances, with the newest one being resistance to at least some forms of reality warping, as in the fraud layer. The landscape and the environments shifts a lot, and V1 goes through other reality bending occurrences and fights just fine. So now that we know the extent of V1 with the updated lore, let's now see if V1 can survive or beat even more analog horrors. Midwest Angelica, the analog horror in which a strange superorganism measuring around 66 kilometers in diameter travels to Earth to amalgamate the earthly creatures into its own mass. The superorganism's given name in the series is Azazel. This creature has a few different forms, with its forms being designated AZ-001 and AZ-002. The organism is capable of detaching parts of itself, which then go on to infect organic creatures with the Starfield virus. After its complete arrival on Earth, it begins to fight the military, getting struck with large ordnance, nuclear weapons, and other sci-fi attacks, and it does lose quite a bit of biomass, but remains mostly fine and comes back just as strong. Its hive mind is intelligent enough to fake death, which allows it to recuperate its mass, making it difficult to fully destroy. The second form, being AZ-002, has it growing several protrusions and starting to take a much cooler looking form. In the later parts of the series, the alien has shown to have interdimensional psychic manipulation, as it can reach into the Akashic plane. So, how would the robot fare against the giant alien? Well, let's see. Azazel is not very durable, but to defeat it you have to destroy all of it, or most of it, and then successfully contain it. V1 has the firepower and speed to absolutely tear apart the biomass of the creature, which would also fuel V1 as it has some blood. There is little that the superorganism can do offensively, as V1 is just too fast and would most likely be resistant to even its Starfield virus, as it's a robot, and the interdimensional psychic manipulation is mostly for knowledge rather than offense. So, V1 can beat Azazel from Midwest Angelica, but it would be difficult as V1 would have to destroy all of its biomass to get the win. Godzilla Bloodbath, a large irradiated dinosaur that has a strong animosity for humanity. From the videos showcasing its terror and destruction, Bloodbath Godzilla has similar abilities to the original, which are the atomic breath and insane regeneration, all included with a very strong body. But what differentiates it, apart from its appearance, is its other more disturbing abilities, which are that it can corrupt the minds of people and have it do its bidding, and its regeneration is much more grotesque and a bit faster. So, can V1 beat or survive this horrifying rendition of Godzilla? Well, let's see. Bloodbath Godzilla is not that fast of a creature, which makes attacking V1 a monumentous task, as V1 moves faster than real-life bullets and rockets. This makes it so even the devastating atomic breath would not work too well. The mind corruption would be kind of useless, as V1 is a machine, not a human, so V1 would be able to damage Bloodbath Godzilla and get a lot of fuel from it, as it would constantly regenerate, making it so the fight is somewhat perpetual. But in the end, V1 would be able to beat Godzilla Bloodbath, or at least possibly farm the giant monster as it becomes a bloodbath for V1. Father Fester, a Dr. Knower creature that is infinitely hungry. This obscure and mysterious creature is lacking in info, but it's on its way to where we are now, slowly but surely. From the tweet, Father Fester may be capable of consuming time, space, concepts, emotions, souls, and meanings, which makes it pretty darn powerful, even though not much is revealed about it or its behavior. So, can V1 survive this creature? Well, since Father Fester has to be outside of time and space to eat it, this places it on a higher plane of existence than V1. In Ultrakill, the Hell is its own creature that also exists in a higher existence than V1, and it is using V1 to entertain itself, not really ever considering the robot a threat at all, and more of just another being in its realm to toy with. So V1 would probably not pose much of a threat to Father Fester, and if we're being real, V1 would probably just get eaten. Mandela Catalogue, the analog horror in which several doppelganger-like mimics are targeting people. In this series, there are two main types of antagonists, the alternates and the alternate. The alternates are pretty much demons that have the goal of replacing humanity. They typically mimic their target, copying their voice and appearance, kinda. Their primary method of attacking is psychological warfare using the MAD, but they are also able to physically attack, and they are superhumanly strong, along with being able to teleport. Now, the alternate, which is the original one, and the one that created all other alternates, is the alternate Gabriel. This Gabriel can fly and teleport. He is able to spawn alternates and control them. He is described as immortal, but is more than likely functionally immortal rather than actually unkillable, and has telekinesis that allowed him to explode a guy's head without being too close to him, along with many more abilities as he's the devil in the Mandela Catalogue verse. So, can V1 survive or defeat Gabriel from the Mandela Catalogue and his army? Well, V1 would not have much trouble at all against the alternates. Mad would not work because robot. The teleportation is a non-issue as in Ultrakill, Minos Prime is confirmed to teleport and V1 won against him, so the alternates are easy to beat. Now, Gabriel would be a bit more of a challenge, as this Gabriel can move around better and is smarter than the other alternates. But just like in the Ultrakill game, V1 still beats Gabriel. The reasoning here is because speed, guns, and regeneration, just like the game. Alt Gabriel's telekinesis could work if he could perceive V1 as the robot moves quite fast, making it difficult to actually hit him with a telekinetic attack, even at a distance. So V1 beats the Mandela Catalogue if the Alt Gabriel gets speed blitzed. But if the Alt Gabriel is not blitzed, then the fight is somewhat equal as V1 would have to perfectly time his dash to dodge the telekinesis, making it so the Mandela Catalogue has an actual chance at winning against the robot. So, can V1 beat or survive even more analog horrors? For the most part, yeah. And even more so after the new updates as V1 keeps getting new lore drops that further increase how capable he is. Thanks for watching, please subscribe and hype, while also liking the video and leaving a comment.